What is going on, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another video. Today we have a reaction to is SCP-343 the strongest SCP. Now, for those of you who don't know, SCP-343 entitled God, you know, we did react to him on the old channel, and yeah man, today we're gonna find out, is he the strongest SCP? We haven't actually checked out this channel before. This channel is called Chuck. Yeah, this was a suggestion on the Twitch. You know, someone wanted me to watch this, and I thought, you know, I haven't watched an SCP video in a while, you know, why don't we watch it? And for those of you asking, I know a lot of people want me to react to SCP stuff. I know that's why a lot of people subscribed in the first place. We will be doing some SCP reactions. It's just that when it gets to longer videos, I am quite wary. I mean, I will do some here and there, but I won't base my channel solely on Warhammer and SCP reactions anymore, especially long videos. If I were to react to any long videos, I will have to cut them up immensely, and the original video will be, you know, not fully in there, if you get what I mean. Hopefully you guys enjoy this reaction. If you are new, hit that subscribe button, of course. Join the Discord for all the latest updates. Obviously follow the Twitch. I stream 3 or 4 days a week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday confirmed, and sometimes if I don't have a lot of stuff to do, maybe a Saturday or Sunday stream. Also, one last thing, a lot of people have been asking me if I can re-upload the old reactions, you know, from the other channel. The answer to that question, I have answered it to a few individuals. The answer is no, I cannot do that because I didn't make backups, because obviously I had somewhere between 450 and 500 vids on that channel. If I backed every single one up, man, I mean my computer would either be full, or I would have like a few hard drives full of videos, which, you know, I just didn't think of. I didn't think my channel would get removed, you know what I mean? It literally happened in the span of like 2 weeks, you know what I mean? And the last 2 strikes literally happened within, you know, a day of each or 2 days of each other. So yeah man, like I said, if you're new, subscribe. Hopefully you enjoy this reaction. Let's go.
Okay, so it's definitely been a while since I have talked about SCP. Sorry to keep you guys waiting, but what better way to bring it back than to talk about SCP-343? SCP-343, also nicknamed as God or Yahweh or the Almighty, he has so many names. He is easily one of the most recognizable and one of the most popular SCP.
Oh, SCP-343 is God. Alright, and we watched this before, bro. Oh, not this, but we obviously watched SCP-343 in the old channel. And we watched the question, like, was it the fucking... Whoops, the Tats Top video interview.
He is one of the OGs, and this really brings up the question regarding his power. Like, where does he rank amongst the other SCP gods and entities like SCP-682, SCP-1 the Gate Guardian, or even the Scarlet King? Scarlet
King doesn't really count in my opinion, because this man, oh fuck, is he even real at this point? No one fucking knows. And what was I gonna say? We don't even know what this man's powers is, apart that he can walk through fucking walls, like. So I don't think he's the strongest, you know what I mean?
Or an even better question yet, is SCP-343 the main creator or the main god of the SCP Omniverse, or is he just a decrepit old man with reality warping powers? Luckily though, I did go over a lot.
We know that they don't make a distinction which one he is. Is he an old man or is he actually God? They don't tell us. So, you know what I mean? I'm not too sure what this man's going to tell me for the rest of this video now.
A lot of readings, and I mean a lot of readings in the SCP Wiki, so that we could better find out the answer to this and much more. So without further ado, let's go ahead and find out just how powerful SCP-343 really is. Unlike other SCP gods that we have talked about on here before, like the Scarlet King, who is—
why has he got Sauron eyes? There's just some fucking, what's it called, imagery that is consistently in every mythic universe. We saw this in Warhammer, right? Because Horus has these on his goddamn armor. But then I guess he, like, Eye of Horus, right? That's why.
Like the supreme symbol of edginess, SCP-343 is more on the loving side. I mean, he really loves his creations, especially humans. He finds them really fascinating, and even though he says, you guys are really silly and ignorant, he still tries to talk to them any chance that he gets. Alright, I had to do a Chill's impression there, I just had to. But no, seriously, even though a good amount of SCPs, like, you need to have a certain rank or a clearance level to talk to them or even interact with them in some way, any agent in the SCP Foundation, regardless of rank, can go talk to SCP-343 whenever they might feel the need to.
Yeah, I remember that.
SCP-343 has also been seen as being a teacher figure because when people go talk to him, they feel at ease and they feel like they have learned something new. He has also taught things to other SCPs, such as SCP-239, also known as the Witch Child. Now, I might do a video on her down the line, but if you don't know who she is,
we didn't watch this one before.
The Franklin Richards or the Jean Grey of the SCP universe because she is a really powerful reality warper and she has massive amounts of potential.
Is this one linked to Dr. what's his name? Clef. Is this the one that's linked to Dr. Clef? Because if that's the case, we kind of got backstory on this one, right? If not, then I have no idea which one it is because I never watched this one.
To give you an example about how powerful SCP-239 actually is, she was able to defeat this Neverwhere, which is like this hyperdimensional construct that is non-existent, yet can still affect and attack beings that are actually existing, without it being affected by other things because it technically doesn't exist. Unfortunately for SCP-239, although she was able to contend with this reality warping, she could not affect the Neverwhere directly because it technically wasn't there to begin with. It's kinda weird, I know. But nah, that was not going to stop SCP-239 from somehow getting a win. So, in order to affect this non-existing thing directly, SCP-239 decided to mess around with the fundamental laws of the universe to bring it into existence, which is pretty crazy.
Never a good idea.
Considering the fact that it was before she unlocked her latent potential, or before she had a lot more vigorous training with SCP-343.
What's Zeus doing in the video, bro?
Anyways.
Yeah, see, that's never a good idea. You never try to bring goddamn fictional unit or not existing realms into this realm. It's just never a good idea.
Now we can get into the more interesting part of the video regarding where does SCP-343 rank amongst the gods of the SCP multiverse.
Why do we go on a tangent?
If you have paid attention to the lore or even watched some of my videos before, you might already know that some SCPs actually have much higher forms in much higher realms or points of reality, you know, much higher dimensions from our own. Now, what do I mean by this? Well, take for example SCP-682 or 999, or in this case, SCP-343.
My guy said SCP-999. I don't like the theory that SCP-999 is some untoward god. It's just stupid to me. Like, why would he be a god? Doesn't make sense. Makes no sense.
These SCPs that are able to interact with humans on a really low dimension,
don't do a jump
scare.
Simply
these avatars or manifestations or embodies, projections, whatever you want to call them. They are not the true form of these beings.
My good god, bro. This looks like a mixture of a fucking kraken, a fucking like dinosaur, and goddamn, oh, fuck, and the fucking Gedo statue from Naruto, bro. It looks like a fucking mixture of all three.
Reside on a much higher point of.
Okay,
let's take a step back. What do I really mean by this? So, SCP-682 has been referred to by many names because it's been around in so many dimensions, and it is referred to as being a Leviathan or a child of the Scarlet King.
I thought 682 was a lizard. I thought Leviathan was like a big snake sea monster. I don't think that's him.
But SCP-682's true form is also known as a Tanti, and this guy was able to ravage the roots of the Tree of Creation, or the Tree of Knowledge, which is where all of creation comes from on a much higher dimensional scale. But you might be asking, what dimension is this really on? Okay, now this is where it gets pretty saucy because the SCP multiverse has been confirmed to have at least 196,000 observable dimensions just to humans. Like, not even a higher dimensional god, just to typical normie humans. Now just imagine on what dimensional scale these higher dimensional gods can see at. A million dimensions, a trillion dimensions, a Googleplex dimensions. Nah, try uncountably infinite dimensions that these gods can exist on, if not interact with. To better understand the hierarchy of these SCP gods, we have to go over one of the bottom tiers, that being
someone needs to make a SCP ranking video of, like, you know, like the tier list of like SCP gods. Someone should make that. Someone should make that list. That would be fun.
This tier includes beings such as SCP-682's true form, or the Leviathans as a whole, We also have SCP-076-2, Abel,
Abel.
Shal, Havel, whatever we want to call him. These guys have a lot of names, so bear with me. We also have beings such as Makan, Yaldabaoth, and SCP-1, the Gate Guardian, who is referred to as being Uriel, or the angel with all of these wings. And I guess I gotta be Captain Obvious here, but when I'm gonna be talking about these...
Does SCP-096 qualify as a god? Because, I mean, I guess you can qualify all of those as a god. Is Abel a god, though? Technically, he wouldn't be a god. He would be more of a demigod, I guess. I don't think he's a god. You know?
Other SCPs that are on a much higher dimension, they are the true forms. Okay, so the ones that you picture as the ones that we quote-unquote contain or can interact with as humans, those are the avatars. Okay? Just want to double-check that with you guys. Let's go ahead and move on, though. Speaking of Makan and Yaldabaoth, these two characters have a really interesting relationship in contrast to each other.
Right.
And the reason that I say
this is the mechanical dude and the fucking flesh dude, right?
Is because...
Like, what's it called? Church of Broken God and Sarkicism or whatever the hell it is.
I have noticed that some people that comment on my videos usually think
Chad McCain
powerful for the sake of being powerful, or you know, they're just really lame characters. But look, I'm not here to do a character analysis. I'm not here to do a biography of the characters and how they behave. I'm here to represent and show their power, okay? So if you want to read the stories and try to get, you know, something out of it, then I would recommend so. But don't imply that these characters, that there's nothing more to them, okay? Just want to make that clear. Anyways, since Yaldabaoth and Makan had a disagreement over how humanity should behave, she was going to manifest herself across every single reality, dimension, universe, timeline, and wipe all of it out casually just by existing. And she is only a lower elder god, so it gets pretty crazy from here on out. And above these lower elder gods is the Scarlet King, who is kind of like a midline god. He separates the high elder gods from the lower elder gods, and he is so powerful to the point that even while being really weakened, he is still like able to make these lower elder gods submit.
Wait, who? Now I missed this because this guy's writing meat. Like what?
Really weakened, he is still like able to make these lower elder gods submit to him. As you might have expected, there are other gods that actually transcend the Scarlet King, and there's many between him and the High Elder gods, and we don't really have to go over them because you kind of get the idea that there's always a bigger fish. The High Elder...
Does the Hanged King count as a god?
Much about them other that they are so powerful that they can casually cause heavy damage to the lower parts of the Tree of Knowledge, while the Leviathans and the lower Elder gods, you kind of need like an army to do that. And the Scarlet King was able to do that in his battle with the Brother's Death, but I mean, it's kind of a combined effort. But no, these guys can do it by themselves. The High Elder gods, curiously enough, also transcend the existence of these lower Elder gods. They existed before the primordial...
I don't even know what this video is about anymore. I thought it was, is SCP-343 the strongest SCP, but my guy has gone on about every god SCP at this point. I'm just baffled, dude. I don't even know anymore. This is kind of why I don't watch it, because I'm just confused. Here, God, and God.
Chaos that came before creation itself. So they are really ancient, and they clearly exist on a much higher existential plane than these other gods. So on paper, the High Elder gods seem really impressive, like nothing can compete with them, but clearly not. As it is mentioned in...
Wait. Who the fuck is this? This is meant to be the Sarkic one. This is meant to be the mechanic one. There's a goddamn snake. This is obviously meant to be SCP-682. I don't know what this is, or if this is part of him. I can't really tell. Is that 173? And then you've got these dudes just chilling down here trying to fight them all by himself.
Compete with them, but clearly not. As it is mentioned in Vision at Batar, which is one of my favorite tales, by the way, really good read, it is said that these High Elder gods stood in the shadow of the Almighty. You might be asking yourself this, and I myself was asking myself this when I first read it and even learned about the Almighty. Who the hell is this character? Is it just some random god? Is it just some random higher entity? Or is it someone more familiar? Is it someone that we have seen since the launch of the site?
So is he insinuating that this SCP is goddamn 343? Is that what he's gonna tell me now?
Once I started reading into it more and more, it seemed to be more and more plausible that the Almighty might just be the true form of SCP-343. The reason I say this is because SCP-343, or Yahweh, God, whatever name he is given in that story, he mentions that he created everything. And in one story, it is outright stated that the creator has many different forms, and one of them, or one of its avatars, is SCP-343. It's also really consistent because in multiple stories it is mentioned that God, or Yahweh, or the Almighty, they created the valley, or they brought something forth into creation. And, you know, Yahweh even says his valley, the valley where the two trees stand, one of them being the tree of knowledge, which is where all of creation comes from. There's a couple other examples.
Alright, buddy, I have no idea, man.
Examples here and there, but I mean, if you really want to read it and decide for yourself, then I will put the stories in the description down below. But I myself think that it is really consistent with how their descriptions are, that you can kind of put one and one together and be like, and
get two, that's
might just
what happens.
Be the Almighty, or, well, its avatar at least. And yeah, they have different names, but here's the thing, there's many other SCPs that have been called by so many things, like 682, he's been called a serpent, a dinosaur, a dragon, a leviathan, a taunti.
Just because he's called it doesn't mean that's what he is, dude.
SCP-076-2, he's been called Ablashao, Havel, the Butcher, and Abel.
The Butcher. Alright, buddy.
Or take a look into Makan and Yaldabaoth. Makan has been called Hakama, Sophia, the Broken God. Yaldabaoth has been called the Demiurge and Samael. So yeah, these characters have different names, but if you...
So these two just have one different name, this one had 3 different names, you know what I mean? It just doesn't seem to add up to me.
If you go with a description or their characteristics, or, you know, basically what they're known to be as, you can basically do simple reasoning and be like, they're the same character, they're just different names that are given to them, depending on the author, or depending on the iteration. The point is, if SCP-343 truly is the Almighty, then he is on such a high transcendent level beyond the High Elder Gods, who can already cause heavy damage to a high hyperversal structure, who are already beyond the lower Elder Gods, who can already wipe out every single reality casually.
This is from that one we watched, bro, that long-ass video that people were requesting forever, man. What was it? SCP? I can't remember the number, but we watched this one, though. This is meant to be that, was it Slug Boy or whatever the fuck he was? And this is the deer, and this is the Gate Guardian, no?
So 343 is easily high hyperversal to some crazy degree. I can't even put a number on it, but just know that he is a very damn strong mofo. It can also be argued that he is outerversal to a good degree because there are a couple of tales and stories that mention platonic forms, ideas, and also a spatial and atemporal elements. But there's really no need to go deep into it because there are multiple stories that deal with time and dimensions and stuff like that. Basically, a lot of concepts that outerversal characters would typically not be bound by or limited by, but just know that it is at least in common.
This looks like some Marvel shit, dude. Like what?
Regardless, I think it is very clear to see that the Almighty should be the most powerful SCP character in verse. Now, the reason I say inverse is because although there are a couple of characters that are actually above him, they are more so like outside of the narrative. So for example, SCP-1, Swan's Proposal, is us, the writers, you know, the people who, you know, post their stories on the SCP Wiki.
Obviously.
Fiction, so obviously
the person who writes it has all the power. They can just, you know, like in SpongeBob where like they rub each other out with that pencil. We could just delete you from the wiki if we want.
In the verse, actually. There's also Mary Nakayama, who also sees the SCP reality as fiction. And I might be forgetting another character, but the only one who can really contend with the Almighty right now would be SCP-3812, and this character is pretty crazy because he can apparently like transcend infinite stacks of narratives until, you know, basically endlessly. So eventually he would transcend these gods and more than likely the Almighty, but it's obviously gonna take a while. But other than that, I don't really see anyone else who can say that they are the most powerful SCP character in the verse. But anyways, let me know what you guys think. I just wanted to make this video.
Alright. In my opinion, there isn't a most powerful one, man. There just isn't the most powerful one. Like, how can there be? There's not enough evidence to say this one is more powerful than this one, or this one is more powerful than this one. And you could make the case, because they don't give you enough details about SCP-343. I can make the case that like fucking 173 is the strongest, or you know, the lizard is the strongest, because they can't fucking die. Like, how can you tell me? You know what I mean? Like, you can make a case for almost every single person, you know, who the strongest is. So I don't know about that. This guy went in a roundabout fashion to get there too, you know.